Okay, so thank you. I'm back. So now we still use the PowerShell. So I've installed the NumPy already. I've installed NumPy. Okay, so I did pip install NumPy. Okay, so installing the NumPy. Okay, so it's just taking some time to install. Okay, so now we have NumPy install successful. We have our NumPy install successful. Okay, so now let's continue from here. So this is how you install your NumPy. Anyway, so NumPy is a package manager. So if I want to install NumPy, now I can use the same command prompt. So what you do is that you want to get to a interactive environment like this. Now with Tony, you already have this when you open your Tony. So if you are not using Tony and maybe what we are using here currently, so we could say that let's clear our screen. So all that we can do is to say Python, and this will move us to our interactive environment. So now you could see we have this. So this is where we can, so the first thing we say that import, to use NumPy, you need to import NumPy. So import NumPy and run. So if NumPy is there, it should move you to the next stage without any error. Okay, so now you can see that we move to the next stage. So now we have numpy there. Okay, so we'll be able to move to the next stage with the numpy showing. Okay, so that's how you can actually go through. So what do we need to do? So now here we can do some interaction. You can check the numpy version. So you can
Hello.
use the name.
Please, your screen. Your screen is gone.
Okay. Hey, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what we'll do here is to be able to check with the numpy. So now here we have our numpy. We can check the version by saying numpy version. That will give us the version that we are using. So on our interaction here, I can see numpy, the one that we imported, numpy dot version dot version. So this should give us the version that we are using. Okay, and now we can make good use of our numpy. So numpy we use for data analysis. So we can install some numbers here as a list, and then we can use our numpy. So what that we see that numpy.array. Now numpy is having a different functions within the numpy. So if maybe you want to see the functions that numpy is having, we could do that by saying that maybe print, we can print directory to see what are some of the things, the function that numpy is having. So one of them is the array. So you use the numpy to call the array. So here we can see that we can check. Now you can see these are a lot of methods that numpy is having. Okay, there are a lot of them. I see a lot of them here. But what that we are interested in is so that focus on. Okay, so all these ones, we have metrics, we have max, we have maximum, a lot. We'll be using metrics where you see metrics and stuff. So all these ones helps in data analysis. You can see sort. Sort is there and stuff. Okay. So we have a lot of functions that you can use this for. So one of them here is what? Array. So now your list here, you can check with your array and then you'll be able to run this. So if I have this list, for instance, let's say I have a list of one numbers here. Let's exit. So I will write my Python. So the next thing is you do now to import your array. So import your numpy. Now we want to use the list. So I have a list here. So I'll place my list here. So now you can use the list for array, whatever that you want to do. Okay, so like we say that you can see that the list that you have here, the numpy.array. So if you say numpy dot array, so numpy.array here, then you place your list inside this. Okay, so if you place your list inside this, that's going to give you a new thing. Okay, so I can say that list lst. So what do I want to use this later? So let me install it in a variable so that I can use it later, and say that and give it maybe np array. So np array is what later on I can use if I want to do anything with it. So I can do anything with this one. So what that we were having here, what we see that you can check the length, you can check the length by using the length function. So it's going to give you the length of the item in the list. Okay, you can do so many things. Okay, so this is what I want you to know. And then you can also check what you have here. So if you want to check what exactly do we have here, so I can say that check my variable and say np underscore array. So now this is going to give me what I'm having. So you could see that this is an array. So it tells you that we have an array. I can multiply the array. So if I say np array, let's say plus 2. So I'm adding 2 to this. So you can see that to add 2 to individual item, you can multiply. So that's what we have here. So you could use it for so many things. Okay. Now the next point is we have pandas. Pandas to you go to data analysis, you use pandas to do data analysis. So you could also install pandas by using the pip. So when I say pip install pandas, that's also going to install pandas for you. So if I come here and let me exit, and then I'll see pip let's wait. Let me clear the screen. So now what I'm doing is that pip install pandas. So this is going to install pandas for us. So pandas is also used for data analysis. So these are different packages that you can. So there are a lot of packages that you can get from Python. So that Day20 is actually helping us to be able to install different packages. So since the network is slow, so it's taking time. So it will install. So once you can import it, you can import package, you can import pandas here, and you can use the pandas. Okay, so these are certain things that you can do. Now we have browser. So you want to also maybe create a program where you could be able to open different browser or use it for different things that you want to do. So this one comes with Python itself. So this is not a package that you need to install called web browser. So web browser comes with Python. So you can import web browser, use it. Okay, if you import this web browser, I don't need to install. That's one thing. You don't need to install that. So you can import it and use it. So I have a different site here. So after importing, I can just add this and then be able to open all those sites. So let's come here. Now my pandas is still, so let me open a different interface. Okay, so I still want to use the command prompt. For now, let's use command prompt for most of the things, because if you want to learn Linux and all those, you use command prompt. So now what are we doing? So the next point is we want to import web browser. So this is the web browser that we have. It comes with Python. So once I import this web browser, I can use the web browser. Okay, so we have code here. So these are a list of site address. So I want to store this in a URL list. So I can just copy this and then paste this. So I have that list. Okay, so now I have this. So I have my URL here, and then all these ones are also there. So what can we do with this? So now we can have a for loop here just to help us to open the tab, open a different tab. So I can see that for URL in URL list, then I'll call my web browser dot open, or web browser is also having a different functions, and one of them is this. Okay, so I could call this one and then use it to open a different tab. Okay, a different tab. So once I get here, I could use this one to open a different tab. So I have this here. Okay, so let this one be inside that, and then so what does it do? So now it's going to open the tab. So you can see here, these are the tab that is opening. So I have here, I'm able to open this one, or to open all the tabs for me. So you can see here, this is the Python website. So it will go to Python website. So if maybe you want to download Python, you could download it. And then I could go to my LinkedIn page. Then you will see LinkedIn, open, GitHub. So GitHub page will open. Okay, so these are certain sites that you can see that every site, that address that you place there will open for you. So this is the web browser which comes with Python. Okay, so it comes with Python that we can use to be able to open, and then you can uninstall packages. So all that we've done, if you want to install, so for instance, maybe I want to uninstall pandas. So you could see that uninstall panda, and it will uninstall with all the pandas as the package name. It will uninstall all for us. Okay, and then you can also see the list of pip item that you install. So if you want to do that, what are you needed to do is that the pip list. So pip will list all whatever that is there. So if I come here and I say pip, let's use this one. It's still installing. So let's exit here. So now I will say pip list. So pip list, we're going to list all whatever that you install. The pip, okay, it's going to list them what are you install with the pip. don't know why my machine is slow. Okay, so now you could see here, I have NumPy, I have pandas, I have pip. So it lists everything for us, as you can, and then it shows us the release, a new release that you can do upgrade of the pip, which we don't want to do that. Now another thing is we can use another called pip freeze. So pip freeze also work like the list. So it's also going to freeze all the that we've installed. So you could see here with the pip freeze will also do the same. And then you can also show package name. So with the inside the package name, for instance, maybe I want to show the package name, maybe pandas or numpy, you can do that. It will show everything. Okay, so now you could see here I have the version that I've installed and everything. So this is the pip freeze, what you just use your pip to install. So you could see the difference. Okay, so either the pip list or pip freeze all go. Okay, and then we have package name. So you could check package name like show pandas. So it will give you details of pandas and all those information. Okay, so that's what, and then we have show verbs. So these are all the information that you can use from this. We went through this before. Yeah, that you were saying you were not getting it. So the pip freeze here will also do the same thing like we use the package name. So you can see here pip freeze to be able to show, and then reading from URL. Now, reading from URL simply means that you want to take information from URL. So now there's a package that can help us to be able to do that, and that package is called request. So request is like it's a driver that link to our website. Okay, so link to the web address, then be able to pick data from what the driver, sorry, the server, be able to pick data from the server. So that is the request. What does the request do? Request can what? Can take data, that is get data. You can use the request to post data and stuff, delete data and all those things. So we can use all those things. So we have a keyword that we use for that. So you could see that we have what we call CRUD. CRUD simply means that create, read, update, and delete. These are the simple things that you're using. So if you are using API, that's API. So API simply means what? Application program interface. And mostly, if maybe you get the API from MTN or any other thing, what MTN will allow you to use their API. Maybe you want to build a mobile application on top of MTN. So MTN can allow you to do create, read, update, and delete. Delete not anybody's content, maybe your own content, what you've done, but you can just access MTN server and be able to read data and stuff, correspond to MTN server and take a live update and stuff. So that is what API does. So now with the help of request is going to help us to link to that server. So what does request do? So with the request, you can see we have get, you can check the status. Check status means that we want to check if the web address is active or not. Okay, so you can check the status. Header, you can check the header and look at the site, what content that the site has, so you could be able to see. Sometimes you could be able to see, with the header, you'll be able to know whether it's what kind of application did they use to build the site. You should be able, and then the test give you the content of the site in a text format, and you could also get the content of the site in JSON format by using the JSON method, okay, to be able to fetch that data. So this is what you gain from the request. Okay, so what do we have? So you could have get method here to open, what are the get methods? To open the network and fetch data from what? URL. Okay, and it will respond or return what? A response object. So that's what the get method does. It what? Respond to what? Get what? Object. So now you get the object out of the data that it fetches for you. And then you can also get the status code. Status code means that you want to check if it's active or not. Okay, so if it's active, it will give you success. If not active, then you get error. Okay, so that you can fetch the data, or you have to check that before you do that. And then the header, check the header type. Okay, then you can extract test data. You can get the JSON. So all this information, you can get them from this. Okay, so the first thing is we can install request. Okay, request. To install request, we do the pip install. So that's what we did the last time. So we do the pip install. So as we say, pip install request. Pip install request. So this, once you run here, it's going to install request, and now we can import the request. Okay, so this will install our request, and we do the import of request. So see the request is installing. Okay, so now that is done, let me clear my screen. Now we can now go to the interaction space Python. So now I can just check move what, and then do what? Import request. So import request here. Once I've done that, now I can use the request. So I've done the import request, so I can use the request. So what do we want to do? So we have a site that we can check if the site is active. So for instance, let's check if this site is active. So you could let's do our normal checkup and see the message that you receive. So you go to, let's close some of this. So now I'm checking this. Okay, so you could see here, we gotten a message that document not found, and then we gotten the error that 404. So anytime you are trying to access a site and you receive this message, tells you that the document that you are looking for does not exist, and you get this message 404. Okay, so now whatever that we are going to do is the same thing that you also receive, because the site that we are trying to get does not exist. If it does exist, then we are not going to receive that. So now let's copy this. So I'll just use this one here, run this address. Now I have checked the response, so you could print the response and see. So if I print the response, I can see what is there. You can print the response here. So if once we check the response here, so I just did it with URL. So let's see, you say URL. So this actually gives us the URL what we are having. Okay, so we have our URL, which that is the text that we just install in there. Now we want to get the content of the URL, which is this. So now we place our URL in the get method. So what are the get methods? The get method here will actually take the information from the web address. Okay, so it will ping the network and fetch what the data. So now once you use the request.get, now we can assign the value to respond. Okay, so we can just check our response to see what we are having there. So once you run this code, what do you see? Nothing will come. Okay, so now we can just check our response. At this point, so you could see that okay, so you could see that now we've gotten the message here 404, but then this 404 here in the form of HTML. Anytime you see this less than and greater than sign, it just tells you that it's in the format of HTML. So maybe you don't want it in the format of HTML. So what we do, we could use response status code. The status code is going to give us the rest of it. Okay, so we could just get the status code, which we know that status code to check status or not. Okay, so that is going to print for us. So here we have response.status code, and then you can see that we have a site does not exist. Okay. Okay, so that's how we went last time. So the ATS give us the format of the site. So that's what we can do. So if maybe the site exists, for instance, if it's then you are going to get 200. 200 means that the site did exist. Okay, so that's what we did last time. And then I said you could also check for you could also use for check for the JSON, like we saw, you could check for the JSON file and all those things. So that's basically what we did last time. If you are having any challenge with that, okay, so that's what we did. So all this one goes through the same thing. Okay, now let's go to the next phase. I think 20. 21, let's see, is it 21? For classes, I think this one you don't have any challenge. It's not this 22. Web scripting. mm, mm. Okay, so I want us to end with this setting the environment variable. Last time, what we did was to be able to set the environment variable, but we set our environment variable with Tony, okay. But I want you to, now that you've installed Python on your machine, you could also do that, okay. So now let's do it without Tony. Hello.
Hello?
Okay. Yeah. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please.
Okay. So now let's set our environment variable. We are going to set it without Tony. Like we said that you can create your environment. The reason why you create the environment variable is you be, for instance, you want to use maybe a platform, a web framework like maybe Django or maybe Flask or anything, and you realize it comes with other libraries, it comes with a lot of libraries, and once you install all these libraries, installing on your system and to mix with other files, maybe once you want to uninstall, some of them might not go. And then how do you know that this one was coming with maybe this library? So I have to, so to save yourself from all those things, create a whole different environment or folder, and you work in when you are uploading your content on the website or any server that you want to send them to. You already know you have your packages, so you can just do everything at once and go without worrying yourself that unnecessary files which might not work for you, but then it's going to keep the size of your website very big. So it's best to always create your own virtual environment. So a virtual environment is also a package. It's a library that we can use. So you don't write your own code to create a virtual environment. Now we have different one. We have big virtual environment, and then we have virtual environment here. So I believe this one is very easy for you to use. Okay, so you come with the different libraries as you can see here. Then you can want to create different Linux. You have way of doing that. For now, we are not using Linux. All of us are really using Windows. So we focus on Windows. When you have Mac machine or anything that you want to use, then you focus on that aspect. So before we can do that, you need to install the virtual environment. We call it virtual EMV. So you have to install the virtual EMV first. So we still use the package manager, which we've already installed. So I'll go here and then do that. Okay, so first thing is let me exit this space. Now I'll just install this. Now, as it's installing, the next point is you also have to create a folder. Okay, you need to create a folder, maybe where you want to work. Okay, that's very important. If not, it's going to create your virtual environment in maybe an area where it will be difficult for you to always locate. I always prefer the desktop. So anytime I'm creating a virtual environment, I always prefer desktop. So I'll change my directory to the desktop. Okay. So now what that we needed to do is to set our directory first. We've gone through this. So to change your directory, we can say that cd simply means change directory. So cd, so where do I want to change to? I want to change to the desktop. So I will cd desktop. So I will change my directory to desktop. So now I'm on desktop. So I can check what I'm having on desktop. So ls means list. So I can list what I'm having on my desktop. And this command that I'm using work on Linux. Now Microsoft created a PowerShell so that those who are good in Linux, when they get to Windows, they can still have the feel of Linux. So most of this work on Linux. So if you already know Linux, then if you don't know this command that works with Linux. So now we can do a list and then you will see what I'm having here. So now I can make a directory and say make mkdir. So directory means this directory what we will be using the directory. So you already know. Okay, so make directory and then I'll give the directory name. We'll see that my host. So my directory name that I want to give is my host. So I will create my host here. So now you can see that I've created this my host at this point. So I have my host here. So what do I need to do? I can just do ls and then I should see my host as part of my folders on my desktop. So you could see that I have my host and tells me the time that I just created it, and it's today's date, which is 6. Okay, so I now know that I've created this. Now what I needed to do is I want to get into that folder. So to move to that folder, you still use the same thing, change directory. So I'll do cd, which is change directory, and I'll do my host. So my host will take me into that folder. So if I do ls, just tell me that there's nothing in there. So I've not installed anything in that folder yet. So I can clear my screen. Ls mean clear. So clear my screen. So now I have cleared everything from my screen. So what do I need to do is to be able to create my virtual environment in this folder. Okay. So what do we need to do is that first thing we will focus on what Windows installation means. So we will be in this format. So what we need to do is that to start your virtual environment, say Python -m, then the virtual env. That is VENV means that virtual env. Okay. Then give your virtual